for some perspective on what we have seen today, we bring in a very formal syndicated columnist, Charles Krauthammer. Charles?
Well, I figured if I'm at the top of the show, I should get dressed up.
What do you make of all this? We know you're going to an event, but what do you make of all of this in Cairo today?
That was a shocking speech, and what's so shocking about it is they had raised the expectations of the crowd in the square. There was an announcement by the military earlier that their demands would be met, as we saw the dancing, and then all of a sudden you get a speech where the president of Egypt is clueless, delusional, speaking about in paternalistic tones the way he did 2 weeks ago, as if nothing has happened. Speaking of the demonstrators as his children, they see him as their tyrant. It seems that to me they are now at a point where they're going to have an explosion. When the mosques empty tomorrow, there's going to be a mass of people extremely angry, and here I think we're at the tipping point. The question is, what will the army do? It's always been the central issue. What will the army do? Either it's thrown in its lot with Mubarak, in which case I think it's looking at a catastrophe, because it'll either have to shoot on the crowd and lose all the stature it has, or it won't shoot and then it disintegrates and we're in chaos. Or I think the one possible outcome that might be a beneficent one would be a coup of some sort, a soft coup in which the Mubarak and those around him are pushed out in dignity, they're not shot, and the military takes over as a provisional government, appoints technocrats, and has a transition to elections and democracy.
Now, I've read that the Egyptian ambassador to the U.S. says that Omar Suleiman, the vice president, is now the de facto president. That clearly wasn't laid out by President Mubarak. Do you believe that the protesters get that, if that's in fact true?
Well, clearly that is a spin that the Mubarak administration is putting on right now. If that was so, and that was intended as the message, it should have been at the top of the speech, spelled out openly and clearly. It was at the end of the speech, in the middle of ramblings about being buried in Egypt, and it wasn't clear that it was some of the powers or all of the powers. And to say that he is no longer the president de jure, only de jure and not de facto, seems to be a patch onto something that was a disaster that the Egyptian administration is trying to undo. I'm not sure it will convince anyone he's still in power. Unless he goes, there's going to be violence.
Thanks for the time tonight, Charles. As always, we'll have some